Good evening. Thank you for joining us here at Eve Speaks, where we are deliberate about growth and intentional about living. I'm so excited to have with me my esteemed co-host, Rhonda Wood, who is a wellness and empowerment coach, living beyond the splinter in her own rights, and my esteemed guest, Radha Kalaria, who is definitely an overcomer, a sought-after speaker, and well-being coach as well. Radha is really one of my inspiration. I am so glad to know her because she's not just about well-being. She's excited about just being.
Yes.
She thinks that her life is a bonus. And I've been wanting to ask her, what does that really mean for her? So Radha, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Rhonda, again for being here.
Yes.
And let's jump into it. And Radha, you're going to tell me, what do you mean
Sure.
by my life is a bonus?
So first and foremost, thank you, Angela and Rhonda, for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Regarding bonus, the moment I put myself into that bonus category, all of a sudden it becomes more valuable.
Mm.
And that is the reason why I say it's a bonus. My life is valuable because every day is a bonus day.
And it became a bonus because did something specific happen that made you coin that phrase? Because I've never met anyone who says my life is a bonus. I've never met it. You're the first one.
Because I think I lived my life like a salary for majority of my life until I got diagnosed with cancer. During that time, everything crashed, so I had to pivot. And that pivotal point was the moment I shifted my perception about life and made it into a bonus. Everything became more valuable, and I was able to go bigger, better, and even faster.
So you had to pivot. I like that word, pivot.
Mm.
So tell me the things in your life right now that you are so proud of, the things that you had to pivot to, the big things, the things that you're the proudest of. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Why you consider yourself a bonus, your life a bonus? Speak to that.
Sure. So, first and foremost, I was given 30 days to live, so my life is kind of miraculous. Apart from that, I was able to rebuild everything bigger, better, and more happier. So I think I'm very proud of that because most people would go into a negative mindset or take it as a setback. And I took it as a leaping ground.
That's awesome. So you're very passionate about well-being because of this journey that you've been on it. And this idea of well-being is one of the things that you're most proud of, correct?
Yes.
And that particularly has to do with your journey with being given 30 days to live. Like I can't even begin to fathom what that would mean for me. Wow. Angela, you got 30 days to live. How did you take that news? How did you come back from those words?
Yes.
How did you navigate it? I see why you're proud of it, of course. But tell me, when you were in the trenches, how did you process that?
So when you are facing any terminal illness or any setback in life, basically you almost feel like a part of you has been taken away. So it almost feels like you are stripped down to bare bone. And that's the best place to get in touch with your being. And that's one of the places where I found not only my solace, but my solution.
Your solution, your solace and your solution.
Yes.
Powerful. What does that mean to you, Rhonda? She found her solace and her solution in being. in finding her being.
Wow.
Deep.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
That's amazing because, if someone told me that I had 30 days to live, I think my mindset would be a little bit different. I'm not sure I would be looking for solace and solutions. I would be like, okay, well, let me get my affairs in order. Let me notify my family. Let me start preparing. I mean, that would be my mindset, but that wasn't your mindset at all. It was completely different.
I
Where you are now is like amazing. So you're gonna have to tell us what your secret sauce is. How did you keep your mindset from someone giving you news that you only have 30 days to live to seeking solace in solutions?
And that's not the only thing she's proud of. She's proud of, that is definitely a big thing to be proud of. But the next big thing is that she also was able, she also went, this didn't just happen by itself, this whole thing with the cancer. She also, at the same time, lost her job, her relationship, her financial well-being.
Wow.
She lost so much in a period of a year and a half. It kind of converged. All those incidences happened at the same time. Am I correct? Happened at the same time, yes?
Yes.
Yes, so now you definitely have to tell us.
Yes, now you definitely.
Because it wasn't just the loss of your health.
Yeah.
It was a loss in almost every major area of your life. Yes.
So again, I do.
The listeners are leaning in like.
So again, I do want to make sure I bring this to the right, in the right way or right perspective. When you get diagnosed, it wasn't like all hale and hearty at that time. What I am really telling you is my journey. It wasn't one particular moment. I did go through the typical motions that people go through about, as you said, how do I wrap up my life? How many people I have to say thank you and sorry to? Big one on my mind because I only had 30 days. I was in a foreign country. Even though it was my hometown, I wanted to make sure, what if I never go back? So there were a lot of logistics and a lot of, I would say, general concerns and perceptions around the situation. But there was also a bigger understanding that even though I want things to be in my control, the moment I let go of that control, the more I am in control. It's kind of counterintuitive, but if you let go and surrender, not in a passive way, but in an active way, you definitely reap rewards.
Wow. Well, Radha, all I can say is kudos to you for walking your running your race. You're still running it, of course, but that was some really tricky terrain there. But I want you to tell me a little bit about, okay, so today you're proud, you think your life is a bonus. Today you're sort of a speaker and consultant, helping people with well-being and being well. Just your perspective is amazing. The mind shift, having navigated that splinter from 10 years ago is when you had the cancer, and for it not to return is truly amazing. But tell me, how were you in that space of being told that you had 30 days to live? What was it like? What were the emotions? What did you actually go through? Like, make us feel like we were in the room with you.
Wow.
When you were going through this valley, you know what I mean? I want to feel like I'm sitting beside you. Tell me.
So when I got diagnosed, I had gone to visit my parents in India, and again, like 3-week vacation, and I was planning to come back and get back to life. But before I went, I had lost my job, and I had basically, I was going through a relationship which wasn't working. So I was kind of also in that low. feeling in my 10 years of career. I was, I would say, a superstar when it comes to education. I was a gold medalist in my college. I graduated with the highest grade point and all that. I got invited by an architectural company, which was world's largest. 500 people applied for one position, and I was invited to work for them.
Wow.
So when things like that happen in your life, you kind of associate your identity with what you do,
Right.
and perhaps what you have, whether it was education or my possession. So my identity was so closely related to my career and what people saw me in the world that when I lost my job and I was going through a bad time in my relationship, it almost felt like a part of me was taken away and now I had no identity. Like I was clueless. And with that mindset and with kind of in that space, I went to India and I visited my parents. And during that time, my mom saw a big cyst on my neck.
Wow.
As I landed.
Your mom saw it? You didn't see it?
Wow.
When I boarded the flight, there was no cyst.
There was no cyst.
But during the 24-hour of transit, by the time I landed, there was a cyst.
Wow.
So when my mom saw it, she was like, we need to get a doctor to look at it and test it. And back in India, it's more family type situation. So I have a lot of family doctors, and basically it's not as tedious as USA. So within a couple of days, I was able to get my blood test done, my x-rays done, and it was diagnosed as, it could be 3 different diseases, and all of them were deadly. So with that urgent mindset, I went for a CT scan, and in that CT scan, the doctor saw some major issues. So he's ready with the diagnosis, but considering the cultural context, he didn't want to give the diagnosis to me. He actually wanted to speak to my parents or my husband or, my guardian, not revealing it to me that it's cancer. Wow. So when he told my parents are like, my daughter is going through it. She has to hear this. Otherwise, she won't get any treatment done. So then doctor finally mustered the courage to actually share the diagnosis with me. And to his surprise, the way I reacted was, instead of what stage cancer I have, I was like, how many days do you think I have? Because I have my plans to visit friends. I want to make sure I do all of that and I don't have to rush back to USA.
That's how you responded? How many days do I have? Because you're thinking about wanting to complete your plans? This is
because I wanted to utilize my vacation.
This is unusual, Radha. I'm sorry. This is just not normal. I have to say it. I mean, I understand living beyond the splinter and navigating the splinter and all, but this is just not normal. Okay. And I'm all for the splinter and navigating it, but I mean, really?
He's like, Doc, just tell me how many days, because I got things to do and people to see.
I mean, I just can't. I just haven't arrived yet, Radha. I hope to catch up to you one day. Okay.
Wow.
Keep going.
So to his surprise, for a young female who was in her age to have kids and all, like a family life, here I was diagnosed as if I'm dying, and I didn't react that way. And it kind of stayed with me because that's how I took my disease going forward. When I came back and I got a regular PET scan done, that's when we found out it was stage 4. It had spread in my heart, my lungs, my bone marrow got tested.
So when you came back to the United States is when you found that it spread everywhere else?
Yes.
Oh, you didn't know. So it became more, no, it became real, or it became more intense for you? Like finding out that it spread so much for more than you thought before. What impact was that on your your mind and your emotions?
To be honest, I had completely zoned out of my own life, that I did not react the way a typical patient would react. When the doctor gave me my diagnosis with the brochures, I took the brochure because it was respectful to him to do, because he was a well-known doctor and my uncle's friend kind of thing. So I took the pamphlet. Next day, I gave it back to him without flipping a single page.
Is this why when you're here in is this back in India or now in the United States?
United States.
United States.
Yes.
Okay, and the reason for that was because you had zoned out of your own life? Is that what you said? And the reason why you zoned out, is it because of the series of things that are happening, or that was the reason?
Yes. And as I said, or actually I haven't said it on this platform as yet, but cancer is more of a psychosomatic disease. It shows up in your body, it has physical symptoms, but it's years of resentment, your emotional and mental state not being well, which then shows up physically. So when everything was messed up, my attention on physical falling apart was not as intense, because I could just not get myself out of the emotional and the mental trauma.
Wow.
Because you could not get yourself, repeat that, please. Repeat that.
So I could not get myself out of the emotional and mental trauma. Like, when my career was going down, when my relationship was going down, when I was unhappy with kind of the social life that I was living, I wanted to be the best daughter, I wanted to be the best wife. We live life according to what the society expects.
Yep.
And that whole castle of sand was crumbling down.
Wow.
And when that was crumbling down, I completely lost my identity. I completely lost my desires, wants. And I just became more like a vegetable, like a zombie, like, whatever I was going through, I was just going through the motions.
Wow. And that led you to, if I remember correctly, it's the depression?
Yes.
Suicidal depression.
Yes. So with all of that added, the steroids, the chemo, the painkillers, just everything added together kind of made me feel like ending this would be so much easier than going through it.
Wow.
So anyone going through hard times would have once in their life felt that, why don't we just end this?
Yeah, what's the point, right?
What's the point?
Wow.
So that's where you find the link to get back to life. So anyone out there going through such a nosedive in their life, I do want to bring to your attention that the darkest night is right before the dawn.
Oh, I love it. The darkest night is right before the dawn. Hallelujah.
That's true.
I love it. Her life is a bonus, guys. She says the darkest night is right before the dawn.
Very inspirational.
I love that. I literally envision a plane, going along and then taking a real dive. That imagery just came to my mind, and pretty traumatic. So you were certainly in the valley, in the pit, as I call it.
Yeah.
But somehow you managed to climb out.
Yes.
Somehow.
Share.
I do want to add one more thing to that really rock bottom phase. Going through chemo, going through the steroids, the typical cycle, made me even more silent. At that point, I didn't want to communicate with anyone.
Wow.
And I completely went into silent zone. The thing that really shook me to the core was losing my hair. So 3 months into the treatment, or actually 2.5 months into treatment, one fine day, I was combing my hair and half of them fell on the sink counter.
Whoa.
And at that time, I had pretty long hair. I mean, like shoulder length or more. And when half of them literally fell on the sink counter, I had no choice but to shave off the other.
Oh, wow.
And that was pivotal point in me completely surrendering to what was coming.
Wow.
And how did the surrender manifest itself for you? How did that
So
show up?
career, relationship, diagnosis, going through chemo, coming out of the hospital on a wheelchair, not being able to stand or shower. Everything added to me breaking down little by little. And then when my hair fell, that was when I was rubble.
Rubble in the wreckage, huh?
Yes. And that is where I completely surrendered and accepted my situation for what it was. There were no more desires of either wanting any better, either wanting any different, or either even having hope that things will get better.
And when you lose the hope, that's where it goes.
Yes.
When there's no hope. Oh. So you tried to commit suicide?
So a couple of times I definitely had those really deep down moments. And I found myself sitting in a dark closet with a knife in my hand.
I'm so sorry, Radha.
And those were the times when not only the outside world didn't understand me, I didn't understand myself. And that's one of the reasons I'm a big proponent on people looking within and understanding them more than anything outside.
Right.
I don't care what relationship you are in, whether you have kids, whether you have a husband, whether you have parents, siblings, friends. Everyone is secondary. First and foremost is you. Because if you don't understand yourself, you are confusing everyone outside in the world anyways. They don't know what to do with you because you don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
So that's one of the places in my trying to heal out of suicidal depression. I uncovered that it's not outside, it's within me. And again, I do want to bring this with a big disclaimer out there. I went through all of this, and these are my experiences. Everyone else out there could have different experiences, so please consult a specialist before making any radical choices in life. I chose to heal myself.
Wow.
And I went complete off route, like I would say unorthodox way of treating, because I didn't take any painkillers. I didn't take any antidepressant. I didn't go see a therapist. I'm not getting PET scan done since 9 years. And the reason I'm able to do all of that is I was willing to do my inner work, even though it was painful and grueling and took forever, it seems.
Right.
So it is possible. This could be an alternate route, but people have to really take it upon themselves. I cannot sit here and say a doctor will fix me. I cannot sit here and say, a pill will fix me. I cannot say a therapist should know what is good for me. No, it's you. And don't run away from pain or difficulty in life. Because the more you embrace them, the more easier solutions come.
Right.
It's really like I would have never in a million years thought that I would come here on a platform like this and share, saying embrace your pain, because I was just like an ordinary, typical human. The moment there is a pain, put on a band-aid. The moment there is a pain, let's just go to a doctor, fix the pain.
I gotta tell you, I
Living
hate pain
with that
personally.
pain is where I got the solution.
Well, that is definitely admirable. Personally, I really hate pain. I get pain, I want it out of my system like now. Okay, I'm not really gonna. I'm not gonna. I don't want to play around with it at all.
I'm certainly going to embrace it.
What'd you say, Rhonda?
I'm certainly not going to embrace it.
No, I'm not going to embrace it. No, there's nothing to embrace about pain, not in my mind.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes, you know, the pain is so searing, you really don't have a choice. At least you have to put up with it and endure. But embracing it is a whole nother level, you know.
Actually, Angela, I do want to bring up something since you brought up that word endurance. There is a difference between endurance and acceptance.
Okay.
And my accepting pain is not the same as enduring pain.
I believe you.
Yeah.
and the audience here might be able to relate to Jesus's crucifixion. He didn't endure the pain. He accepted the pain. That's one of the reasons he was able to say, people don't know what they're doing. Forgive them. Because
he probably did both. I think he endured and accepted. I think he did both.
Because when you endure, you kind of are not able to be that bigger person or have that compassion. That's just the way I see it.
Interesting perspective.
Interesting, yeah, for sure.
Well, wow, that definitely. So now I definitely see now even more clearly why the being for you is so important, because you went through a journey really by yourself. Because you were also in this country, for the most part, without family, right? I mean, you had guardians, as you call it, but you had no real strong family ties here.
Yes, I have my parents who come and visit and stayed with us for quite some time. But when I say not having a family, family is not just because they're blood related.
Right.
To me, family could even be a friend, where there is emotional relation. There is emotional bonding of love and care and support.
And did you feel like you had that here?
And when I was going through this, I completely was aloof, and no one in my life knew about anything that I was going through for about 7 to 8 years. 8 years.
What a lonely journey.
Yes.
Wow.
Even my parents, whom I'm the closest to, they have seen me go through it. They don't know what I have done to get out of it.
They don't know. Now, why did you choose the loneliness? Why did you choose that?
So there is, again, a difference between loneliness and solitude.
Oh, so you chose solitude.
I chose solitude because just like a scientist, when the scientist is making an experiment, he wants the conditions to be controlled. And we live in a society or in a world where we have our own beliefs of what's possible, what's not possible. We have our own judgment. We have our own comments about people and their ongoings. And I didn't want anyone to project anything on me. I was so willing to take the risk and go through this so that if I come out as a winner, I have my case study to share with the world.
Your case study? Is this a case study? Hi, Beverly. Thanks for joining. I hope you're learning a lot, because I certainly am.
Wow.
Well, wow. That's amazing. So this idea of the being is really pivotal to your practice now as a coach, speaker, consultant. Wow. Rhonda, you want to pick up from here and just talk to her about just how she managed to get out of this valley, out of this pit, and what she's doing today, what you're doing today.
Yes. So, Radha, your story has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. But I'm sure a lot of our audience want to know, how did you go from those lowest points to obviously having, dealt with loss with your health and with your finances and with your career to sort of where you are now. And obviously, they gave you 30 days to live, and you're here and thriving right now. So you're obviously not experiencing suicidal depression. You're talking about, every day is a bonus. And so we just kind of would love you to share with our audience how you came from those really dark times and moments to sort of becoming this speaker, consultant, and coach to individuals as well as companies. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you.
Sure. So my entire, I would say, teaching or learning has been around being. And I think once you are in touch with your being, anything can be solved. The way I see as individuals and organizations is interconnected. I don't see them as separate. A lot of people like to say, this is my personal life, this is my professional life. I don't see a distinction. And that's one of the reasons most people are struggling with finding a balance. Because when there are two separate things, you're trying to balance it. When it's all one, you're just prioritizing what needs to be done when.
Wow.
Hallelujah.
So with this being approach, I really like to address individuals and organizations. I call individuals as the seeds, and I call organizations as the roots.
Okay.
Both of those need to be there and in a healthy condition for the plant to grow. And in order to do that, I work with individuals, making sure that at the grassroots level, there is enough momentum and enough well-being to support the plant once it grows.
Wow.
And I consult organizations to make sure their roots are always nurturing that plant. So together, both of those components can birth healthy and happy plants. And I call all those plants as our society. That's why being well leads to a well society.
Being well leads to well-being.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
Being well leads to well-being. Wow. So in this practice that you have, if you were to outline for the listener the three specific, it sounds like there may be three different components. What would you call each component, or how would you break it down for the audience so that it makes in layman terms?
Okay. So let's go real layman.
Yes.
No technical terms.
Real layman.
First and foremost, no one in our life teaches us how to think. School doesn't teach us, parents don't teach us, and society at large don't teach us. They expect us to behave a certain way, but no one tells us how to think. So starts with thinking, making sure our thoughts are aligned, and we are able to discern and understand those thoughts. So that's level one. Level two, anytime you have a thought, good or bad, you don't know how fruitful or how beneficial it is until you experiment. So I'm a big proponent on give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn about honesty, for example, go out and see what the results are if you are honest. And then make it into a belief or a value that you can live with.
Mm.
Because we have all these beliefs. Some of them are even handed down by our parents or culture or society, and we never ever question them. If we were to start building our belief system with our own thinking, our own experimentation, we will be able to collectively build a society where everyone is unique and everyone is resourceful in their own way, and everyone can exist without friction.
That sounds like utopia. I'm not sure that's not sure it's possible down here. I personally believe that people need a standard by which to live their lives, because we really don't know how to think. And so we have to be taught how to be doing that. And I find that the standard of Christ being able to teach me how to think or how to live or how to navigate myself. Because I don't know that I have the answer in and of myself. I know I don't. So while I understand what you're saying, so it's a different school of thought for me. Keep going.
Yes. No, again, I appreciate everyone's perspective and where people are coming from. Most of the time, we come from our past beliefs, past experiences, and there is nothing wrong with it. On this journey of being well, we really need to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's coming with us on this journey must be scanned. You want to make sure you're not carrying explosive. You want to make sure you're not carrying extra luggage.
Mm.
Once you have sorted all of that, that's when your journey becomes pleasant and happy and healthy.
Okay. Makes sense. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. So you talk about the way people think, then experimenting, and then what was the third component?
Third component is to actually live with it.
Actually live it. Live whatever you come up with out of the experiment.
Yes. Because how many times we all have taken in information, enjoyed taking notes, come home, and it's sitting there.
Yeah, I've gone to a few conferences like that.
I'm sure we all have.
Lots of notes. It's still in the bag on my doorknob. Lord help us. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for breaking that down. I'm hoping that when the listener hears the three components of how you help them to not just be well, but to enjoy well-being, they can reach out to you on your platform.
Yes.
And what is how can people reach you?
People can reach me on my email, info@radhakalaria.com.
Mm-hmm.
I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, and and
Instagram.
Yes.
And YouTube. Let me help you out, girl. You are becoming world renowned.
Okay, sorry about that.
Well, that's great. If you want to reach Radha to be one of, to work with her in her well-being coaching, being well coaching, certainly reach out to her. Her information is going across the screen right there. Subscribe to Radha's YouTube channel. You can reach her on Facebook and at what's your website? RadhaKalaria.com. RadhaKalaria.com. I am so glad that you were able to spend this time with us. It was certainly a robust discussion. Here at Eve Speaks, we are intentional again about living with intention, living beyond the splinter, navigating the splinter. As you know, life comes at us in all different kinds of ways. Sometimes we go through some some serious potholes, and Radha certainly has somehow managed to come out of her pit. And that is such an amazing story because honestly, I don't know that I would be able to do what she's done. So I admire her and I respect you for sharing your story. It is powerful. It is moving. I cannot put the words to it. To have all of that stuff converge at the same time is really remarkable for you to have come out of it.
I do want to share one last thing with the audience. I am not an extraordinary person. I am not a miracle here. I am just an ordinary person who was willing to give life a chance.
Just an ordinary person willing to give life a chance.
All right.
Wow.
So it's possible for everyone. It just needs to start with one thought at a time.
And then you too, audience, will think your life is a bonus.
Life is a bonus.
Life is a bonus. Don't you agree, Rhonda? Life is a bonus. Well, Rhonda's smile says life is a bonus. Look at her smile. Look at her smile says life is a bonus.
Every single day. Every day.
Wow. So guys, please join us in Eve Speaks group. You can join our group or you can like our page, evespeaks.com. Or I should say Eve Speaks on Facebook. And you can follow us on Instagram as well. You can pick up my book, Peace Beyond the Splinter. Reclaim your promise of peace and profit from anxiety's grip through prayer, which is my own splinter, which I'm always navigating in some way, shape, or form. So again, guys, remember that we all have our splinters, and it's really a shift in our mindset that helps us to get through it. Thank you for joining us in this segment of Living Beyond the Splinter. Thank you, Rhonda, my esteemed co-host, and thank you for Radha for sharing your powerful story.
Yes. Thank you, Radha. Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
thank you, Angela, and thank you, Rhonda, for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys, take a look at